So I'm here at the PwC Lounge in Davos, in Switzerland, and I have with me Mohammad Kande, the Global Chairman at PwC, and I have with him Sanjeev Krishnan, the India leader and chairperson at PwC. They've just released a Global CEO Survey, and what amazing findings. Can't wait to question them on that. Gentlemen, both of you, thank you so much for your time and welcome to ET Now. Mohammad, if I could start off with you, I was quite intrigued by the first observation that the Global CEO Survey actually threw up. Only 3 in 10, that's 30% CEOs, are confident about revenue growth in 2026.
You know, it's quite interesting, right? Other facts.
It is.
To get this. And the reason is really driven by the level of uncertainty that we have today, that CEOs have to deal with. Uncertainty around 2 dimensions. The first one is technology. AI is advancing really fast, and they have to make capital decisions to decide how fast and where to invest when it comes to AI. The second one is around the geopolitical turmoil that we're actually all witnessing or experiencing today. So that is why we're seeing that that level of tension and pressure is actually what we believe is getting to only 30% of them saying that they can see a path to growth. But at the same time, though, more than 50% of the CEOs are saying that they believe the global economy is going to be okay. So it's about the companies themselves, not about the global economy, which is an interesting fact also. The economies are fine. It's about the role that themselves will have to play with the companies in the economies of the future. Fascinating development.
It's fascinating but puzzling as well at the same time, because the global growth is the reflection of what the CEOs and their companies do.
And at large, when you see the global growth, when you see the stock markets around the world, when you see the flow of capital around the world, there is no recession. Capital is moving, stock markets are growing up, companies are investing. Yes. So the economies globally, at the macro level, the economies are volatile, but they are growing. It's about now, what is the role and what is the play that any company will have in that new environment that is shifting very, very fast.
Indeed. And Sanjeev, what a fragmented world it is in, like Mohammed just said. What role do you think AI can play in the future, not just productivity, but profitability of the future?
Yeah, I mean, as we say, technology for technology is passe. It's about how do we use technology for transformation. And I think AI is a mechanism by which the transformation will happen. The reinvention will happen. I mean, we just heard that businesses are looking to do things which are very different. Now, what will help them do it? AI will help them do it, right? So it is not just about back-end processes and getting some cost savings done, etc. I think it's about transformation of businesses, and where the value pools will shift, AI is going to cause that reinvention to happen, right? I mean, if you look at it, many businesses where the valuation used to come 3 years back to where valuations are coming today is very different. And in 3 years' time, it will be very different. And I think AI is going to be an enabler for that to happen. I think the second one which I want to say is AI will also be a huge enabler for inclusivity, because I do believe that whether you look at healthcare, whether you look at education, particularly 2 soft infrastructure sectors which are very important for India, I think AI will play a huge role in creating a Viksit Bharat or inclusive India, because when we start adopting some of these AI things at scale, because currently we are in a sandbox moment, I think we will see these soft infrastructure getting enabled, which in a country like India, which is as populous as we are, I think will have a multiplier effect.
Multiplier effect, it's critical. It's critical. And one of the things that we always promoting is the use for artificial intelligence to include more of the population when it comes to additional healthcare services, because you get the multiplier effect, because you can deliver more health services to the population. You can provide more banking services. But think about education. Everybody can be included into access to knowledge. The competitive advantage of nation today has been based on who has access to knowledge or not. AI can democratize this. So every nation would believe that any nation around the world, in India or any other part of the world, as long as you democratize access to knowledge, then people actually can start thinking about innovation and create jobs in different parts of the world. And a lot of the social issues that you're seeing today can actually be helped by artificial intelligence, not because we are afraid of it, because we embrace it, because now everybody gets a shot.
Absolutely. You know, Mohammad, I was quite intrigued by the point that you were making earlier about AI, and I want to draw it down to the Mag 7 and the kind of capex that they're currently looking at. And one of the questions which was in your global survey as well, whether it's going to make money or not. What if it doesn't? And I'm going to repeat the question that I earlier asked you. Is it fair to put a timeline to when it will, specifically to the Mag 7 capex?
You see, the capex, the Mag 7 is spending a lot of money on the technology side. Principal investors, private equity, funds are spending the money on infrastructure build-out. The Mag 7 are also doing the same. So the money that's being spent in that AI ecosystem goes beyond what the Mag 7 is spending. Industrial companies are spending money in additional production for gas turbines, for cooling equipment. So there is a massive amount of investment that we're seeing. Sanjeev, we did the analysis, I think in the last 18 months, it's $1.5 trillion. It's infrastructure at the basic. And when we look at what we're investing in today, we are just getting started. AI today is used by the consumer. As soon as you have AI used by the enterprise, then you have new business models that are going to be created. And also, when you look at it, you're also going to have a massive amount of innovation that's being created. That is why, for me, I say patience is key, because I truly believe all this investment in artificial intelligence that we're seeing today is going to create a new golden age of innovation. What is the return on investment on what we see today? What is the innovation of the future? How many of the Mag 7s were here in 2001 at the launch of the mobile internet? I rest my case.
Okay. But, you know, Sanjeev, what Mohammad was saying earlier, that AI is also infrastructure. There is that whole supply chain. There are just many layers to it. It's not just hardware. It's not just what the Mag 7 is doing. When it comes to India, because India is the sort of anti-AI or ex-AI trade, if you can call it that. Where do you think India is positioned in the entire AI piece right now? And is it only going to be really restricted to data centers?
No, I think it's going to be more. I mean, if you look at it, for instance, we say, if you look at our GCCs, they are contributing 30% of global chip design, right? I mean, in some ways, and a lot of that is going to get further enabled by AI, because, most of these businesses are going to use India in a very different way. So I think that's the first one. I think the second one is that from an India standpoint, I mean, where else in the world will you find the number of STEM students which are upskilled to the level that India produces at this point in time? So all these AI businesses will eventually have to leverage India if they want to create distinctive outcomes, not just in terms of R&D, innovation, but also in terms of implementation. And then where else will you get the amount of consumers that will be able to leverage AI? So when you look about TAM, currently we may say that the TAM exists in the West. I mean, eventually the successful parts of this TAM will reside in India, because we are 1.5 billion people at this point in time. So I do believe that the manifestation and the valuation that will be created on AI innovation in India eventually is going to be very high, as has been the case with a lot of those tech companies that you were alluding to earlier. A lot of their value currently resides in India.
But, Mohammad was talking about that liquidity is a flush in this world right now. When we talk about the foreign money, the FI or the FPIs, they've completely eluded India. And we've seen some of the largest outflows from India. What would it take for that money to come back, which has eluded us for, I think, almost over a year right now?
So I think partly it has got to do with the fact that a lot of that has gone into countries like China, Korea, Taiwan, even Vietnam, which again are hard AI bets, hard infrastructure bets on AI, right? I do believe that, so relatively, and India, since India is not big on LLMs at this point in time, a lot of those developments are happening in these regions, and some of these markets are undervalued. So the FPI money has actually possibly gone to some of these countries. I do expect very soon Indian market, a lot of that is going to come back to India. I think the second thing is that if you look at all the FDI that's happening in India, it is either in the renewable segment or it is in the new value chains, which is the semiconductor value chain and so on and so forth. And I think that is an indication. To me, that's a first indication. Now, as we are actually able to scale some of these businesses and we find ourselves equally through the value chain, we will see a lot of that foreign, what we call portfolio investments coming back to India. I have no doubt it has happened in the past. There is no reason why it should happen in the future.
But the big leading indicator is the fact that the U.S., as we said earlier, is still the top destination for investments in the world. Number 2, UK, Germany, India. That's a good leading indicator to have.
That it sure is. But I also want to talk about, the fact that there are also rising concerns about tariff. Can one really link it to the dollar denominance actually, or rather dominance weaning off at all? Or is that not a fair correlation to make?
So I would say that if I had an answer to this one, I would be in a very different place.
Saint-Tropez? I don't know.
Or Nice.
There's the world to go to. But yeah.
No, the reality is, there are so many things that need to be done to impact this around dollar dominance and all this, but I would tell you that the investment is going where the opportunities are. And as we say today, the US number 1, India, Germany, and the UK are number 2, and we have to follow the money. The people that deploy the capital are very, very smart people. They don't do anything random. They know what they're doing, and that's where they're sending the money. So,
is that the reason why gold and silver are at an all-time high and very select equities?
Good question.
And the answer is?
The answer, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But you see that commodities are growing actually pretty fast, right? Silver, you talk about silver, gold, and many other commodities. They're not only 2 commodities. For many other reasons, though, okay, because a lot of these minerals also are being used for manufacturing. It's not just for gold and silver. You also have some other minerals. Yeah. With the way the price is going up because of the demand for chips and semiconductors and et cetera. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah. We're going to see that, basic rare earth minerals or commodities are going to go up. Why? Because of the demand that exists around the world. So that's what we believe. So
the world is in a good place?
I personally think that the world is in a different place because it's changing very fast. But change is not necessarily bad. The leading indicator is the deployment of capital that we are seeing. If you look at history in the past 100 years, every time you had so large deployment of capital like that, good things happened. It happened with the Industrial Revolution, the railroad systems. It happened with the digital revolution. Think about what was created after that. It's not about what exists today. It's about the new things that will be created. That's why we believe that this is going to be a new age of innovation. Not because we know the answer, but if we become students of history, we see that it happened before. We just have to go for the ride, and that's what we're saying to CEOs today. Do not stop. Innovate. Try. Have the permission to try. And if you fail, it's okay. Something good is at the end of this.
I'm sure you'll make it to Nice very soon. On that note, thank you both of you for your time.
Thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you.